welcome to the video. My name is John Bodine with Redemptive Psych, and here we're committed to exploring the aspects of personality and personality types to understand ourselves, others, and to explore our creator through his creations. Today we're talking about the fifth of the cognitive archetypes, or the cognitive attitudes. These are the characters, these are the different kinds of energies within our personality type that dictates how a certain aspect of our personality will be expressed. Today we're talking about the first of the bottom four functions. The Nemesis function, this is the Nemesis, the fifth function, it directly combats with the hero function. It directly combats with our top tool. BB defines it as our area of frustration and challenge. It is really the second area, the first one being the inferior function, the second area where we really start to feel some inner conflict within our own type. So we have our hero function, our top function, and the Nemesis has the complementary function to that, meaning that if our top function is introverted thinking, my own thinking, the Nemesis function, the thing that is pulling on it, is going to be extroverted thinking, where it's creating tension with how an introverted thinker perceives other people's thinking. Now, the Nemesis function as a theme has the opportunity to give us insight and some understanding, or keep us in ignorance. It is an unconscious function, which means we have to work to be aware of it. And unless we become conscious of it, it's going to continue to wreak a little bit of havoc and a little bit of damage because of the natural energy that it has. Now, I said that the Nemesis exists to challenge the hero. In Greek mythology, Nemesis was sent when humans became too full of hubris, too full of pride. It existed to punish hubris. Now, in the context of the hero function's biggest temptation is pride. So you see throughout history, throughout this Greek mythology, that it's actually capturing a piece of our own inner psyche, where the more prideful we are in our hero function, the more the Nemesis is going to pull on us, because pride means to close the gap of, I'm not going to look at anything else, I'm not going to consider anything else, I'm just going to go with wherever I want to go. And then the consequence of that is more tension being pulled to open your blinders. And until you do that, the tension is just going to ramp up. That's how the conflict arises within our types. So we're going to start with TE Nemesis. This is the fifth function, the Nemesis function of the INTP and the ISTP. Now, as I hinted at, these TI heroes are very capable and confident with their own thinking. They're great problem solvers. They are great problem detectors. They are concerned that other people with extroverted thinking Nemesis, that other people do not have the capability to think through things, or a worry that that person hasn't thought through things, hasn't put in the effort or the work to actually think through the problem. So it's a worry that other people are dumb or not capable of thinking through something carefully, and this can lead to the INTP and ISTP jumping to assumptions. Now, when this function is integrated more within these types, they start to use it on their own verification of, okay, I can criticize them for not doing the research, but have I done the research? Yes, I'm a capable thinker. Yes, I'm very logical, but have I actually considered other people's opinions, other people's research, other people's perspectives? And if they can do that, it'll allow them to be much sharper thinkers instead of just assuming that other people are not smart. With the inverse of that exists the ENTJ and ESTJ with TI Nemesis, TI internal conflict of, they are worried that their own thinking is not sufficient, that they can't solve the problem with just their own thinking. They are phenomenal, these ETJs, with their TE hero at getting research, at taking in opinions, taking in voices, but they struggle to process that within them for themselves. So the process here is to start to use your own thinking. Start trusting your thinking more, not because you're going to be right all the time, but because by doing that, you start to use your thinking, as opposed to just pushing it down and just saying, I need to rely only on what other people think instead of my own thinking and my own research. So this is a journey to broaden the scope of thinking, where the ENTJ and ESTJ can use some of their own logical processes mixed with all the research that they do to come to more accurate and helpful conclusions. Next are the feeling ones. FE Nemesis, extroverted feeling Nemesis. This is the Nemesis of the INFP and the ISFP. Now, these are the FI heroes, introverted feeling heroes, where they're confident and competent with their ability to evaluate, to value something, and the principles and the morals that they invest in. FE Nemesis is worried about other people, that other people may not be as moral as they are, that they haven't evaluated as carefully as the INFP or ISFP have, and also that other people's values may be harmful. My values are not harmful, some INFPs and ISFPs believe, but other people's values are harmful. That is sometimes the assumption of FE Nemesis. Now, just like with the INTP and ISTP, these FI heroes can learn to turn that tension inward, where they start to question their own values and wonder, hey, are the things that I value and the morals that I have, are those actually helpful for people, or are they harmful? And through this process, if they walk it, the INFP and ISFP can refine some of what they believe and challenge some of what they believe by the standard of what's helpful and what's not helpful. Next is FI Nemesis. This is the Nemesis of the ENFJ and the ESFJ. Again, it's inversed, where the ENFJ and ESFJ with FE hero want to help other people and want to respect their values and their principles, but they question their own self-worth, they question their own values. So just like with the ETJs with their thinking, with the EFJs, it's with their evaluation, with their morals, with what they invest in, to start to use that a little bit. The ENFJ and ESFJ have a hard time with feeling valuable unless other people value them, unless other people invest in them. So it's an opportunity to expand and to start to invest in oneself a little bit and start to look over one's own values and live by those. The FE hero, it's so aware of what other people care about and what other people value that with time, they can cull through those and filter through those and perhaps find commonalities in those values. And by that process, they can start to build their own values through, okay, of all the good things that are out there, what's common between them? That is a process by which these types can start to integrate their FI Nemesis a bit. Next are the 4 perception functions. Starting with the intuition functions, extroverted intuition Nemesis. This is the 5th function of the INFJ and the INTJ. While they are very capable and confident with their own willpower and seeing their own path and walking that path and being determined to achieve what they pursue, extroverted intuition Nemesis is worried that other people don't want the right things, are not pursuing the right things. It's a worry that, okay, I know what I want perhaps, but that person is pursuing something silly or not meaningful or not something that's not going to actually help their future. But it's also a relationship with paranoia. The INFJ and INTJ, while they know what they intend, are worried that other people's intentions are not good. Especially if they're unfamiliar with someone, they can get kind of paranoid about thinking the worst about someone. So the path here is for the INFJ and INTJ to first recognize that, hey, just because I happen to want something or I see the path doesn't mean it's the best path. That doesn't mean it's actually better than other people's paths. They often compare their own intentions and their own pursuits to other people's and judge their pursuits as stupid and their own as having all the gravitas. But the reality is, a lot of what the INFJ and INTJ pursue are not actually going to get them what they want. And other people can teach them something if they start to take what other people want a little more seriously. Next is NI Nemesis. This is the Nemesis of the ENFP and the ENTP. Now their hero function is NE hero, extrovert intuition hero, all about possibilities and giving people options and giving people choices. NI Nemesis is worried that for the ENFP and ENTP that I don't have a future, that I'm not free, that I'm not going to have what I want in the end. They spend so much time helping other people get what they want that they can neglect their own. They kind of operate under the philosophy that the way to get what I want is to help other people get what they want. And there is a lot of truth to that. However, these types can often neglect their own future and their own path. And one of the ways they can kind of sneakily make up for that is by giving choices to other people that are actually just repackaged versions of what they want anyway. So instead of doing that, the secret here is that once you consider more of what you may actually want, it allows you to make the choices that you offer to other people much better, because you start to become invested in the choices that you give. Of, would I actually want that? Oh, probably not. So I'm not going to give that to other people necessarily. So it's a filtration system to give people better choices, but also to allow yourself to have the stake of, what would I choose? Well, I wouldn't choose that, obviously, so I'm not gonna offer that to other people. And this allows you both to ensure that you have a future and that you have something to pursue, but also giving other people better choices for it. Next are the sensing functions. Extroverted sensing nemesis. This is the nemesis of the ISTJ and ISFJ. This exists to pull on their SI hero. The SI heroes are very aware of their own experience, their own body, their own memory, the things that they enjoy, but they're not always aware of the experience of the people around them. Yes, they're worried that other people's futures are going to be bad, but they're not necessarily aware of what someone else is actually experiencing. They have an obliviousness at times to the present realities of the people around them. So SE Nemesis, for example, often leads these types to have very clean and comfortable environments, because they're not really comfortable in disorganized environments. They want to give that experience to other people of, hey, let's have an orderly environment. But it goes beyond that. It goes into questioning, okay, what has that person actually been through? What are they feeling right now? And you don't have to know all the answers, but the main point here that the Nemesis can teach you, ignorance or insight, is that other people's experience is different than your own. The obstacle that all of the introverts can run into is projecting their introverted hero onto other people, meaning that the INJs might say that, I want this, so you should want that. The INTPs are saying, I think this, you should think that too. The ISJs are saying, I experience this is my duty, that should be your duty too. It's not the reality. And until they go out of their way a little bit to explore how other people's experience is different from their own, they're kind of going to be locked in their own hero, in their own experience, and not super aware of other people. Lastly, SI Nemesis. This is the Nemesis function of the ESTP and ESFP. Their hero function is all about giving other people a great experience, of being aware of their experience, of garnering attention through either performance, whether they're performing in a show sense, like an athlete or a singer or something, or just in a day-to-day sense of fixing stuff, of making jokes, being the life of the party. SI Nemesis is compelling the ESTP and ESFP to be more aware of their own experience, of their own routine, of their own habits. It's also a criticism of their work ethic, perhaps. Now, the issue here can result if the ESTP and ESFP are just living for the reactions and living for those moments of excitement, rather than having a more stable internal drive. SI Nemesis is pulling on the ESTP and ESFP to develop some routines and some habits and some discipline, that regardless of what's going on around them, they can still be a bit consistent through that. Now, SI is also about memory and a sense of duty, and these types worry that their past is not interesting enough, that they don't have enough good experiences to reflect on. Now, if they just let that drive them, they're going to take more and bigger risks to try and get the reactions from people around them. But if they commit some of their attention to actually remembering some of the things they've been through, they will start to remember a lot of the fun things that they've experienced and are able to draw on that for energy and for satisfaction, rather than just assuming that they haven't had a satisfying life. And when SI Nemesis is integrated, when their own experience is taken into consideration, it relieves some of the anxiety that they have over making choices. Because if they made a choice in the past and it worked out, then they can at least start there and rely on that somewhat to orient them towards the future. All right, guys, that's the Nemesis function. When thinking about the Nemesis on a broad scale, think about it as one of the ways of our biggest internal conflict. And if you feel internal conflict, there's a good chance that the Nemesis is involved with creating that tension within your mind and within your emotions and your energy. So it can become a way to utilize some self-awareness of targeting why we might feel stressed or a little worried in a certain area. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys in the next video.